metal-heads.de.
Hello Metalheads, we are in a bus with Brad Emmons of the Glorious Sons. Once again, we met 2 years ago here and it's your second time in Cologne.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great.
And yeah, today you're supporting the Welsh Arms, and is not the only support you did over the last 2 years. Perhaps you can tell us something of the bands you supported.
I think you're speaking of the Rolling Stones, perhaps. Yeah. I mean, like we were talking about, you get the call from the Rolling Stones and you go. So, we supported them in Marseille, France, and Barrie, Ontario, which is pretty close to our hometown. So, I mean, it was fantastic. The one was right in the middle of a tour, so it was a little bit overwhelming, but my neighbor told me it best. He said, you are in the 0.01% of the population that can say that they opened for the greatest rock and roll band ever. So
yeah, to get it straight, you supported them in France after half a year after you played in Cologne. I read it and said, oh, wow. Then you did your own headliner tour, I think, and in Arizona, and there was a phone call. Yeah. Hi, yeah, the Rolling Stones, would you come over to Canada supporting us?
Well, the original show actually got canceled in Barrie because of Mick Jagger had some health issues. I'm not really sure what they were. But we hadn't heard anything about opening for them, and then we saw that the show was back on, and I think the next day we got a call. So, I mean, it was fantastic, and it was just nice to get the nod of the cap, to be asked to come back after you opened for them. It meant something to me, at least. So,
yeah, you must have left quite an impression in France.
I don't know. I met them for like 60 seconds, and they said good show. I don't know. I don't know that they actually watch it. I'll take them on their word, but I hope you do. At the same time, the main thing is to leave an impression on their fans, because you want to steal the 65,000 people from them that are in that.
And the Stones fans are really hard to impress.
Yeah. We have seen a lot of people come up since playing the show and tell us that they first saw us when opening for the Stones, and that's been really good. But in the moment, you're kind of looking at people, and they kind of, you're looking at just a sea of people, but there's definitely a few of them that are just sitting there. Their eyes are glazed over. They don't really give a shit. They just want to see Mick and Keith and the boys, and whatever. I don't care.
But they did come out to you, the Stones, and said hello, and yep. I think they're playing shows for over 50 years and must seen exactly. Millions of support bands, and still come out and say hello.
To come out and like I say, I don't know in 50 years if I'm still doing this that I would do that. I thought it was very kind of them to just both shows. They came and said hello after the show, and it was right before their set. But I thought that was really impressive, because they're in their 70s. They've been doing this since forever. They don't have to do that. So, I mean, it was a really nice gesture.
And I misspelled your name, and I apologize for that. On your new album, you have a track, The Ongoing Speculation
into the Death of Rock and Roll. Yeah.
So, what can you tell us about it? Is rock and roll dead?
No, not at all. I think that if you were to go to clubs all around, any city, you'll see kids playing their guitar as loud as they can, screaming their head off. Rock and roll is fine. That song's more about, the pitfalls and the media angles and the way people choose to portray it, which I think takes it away from its purest form, which is an expression of freedom and rebellion. And that's what rock and roll was needed when it came out, and it came from a place that was a lot more. It was a lot more from the heart, a lot truer than the way that we spin it nowadays. I don't give a shit of how people died. I don't want to see my heroes die. I don't want to see them drink themselves to death and do heroin. And people think it's all sex. People think it's all sex and party, but the truth is that there is 12 hours a day. People are trying to express themselves and live their life as freely as possible while making art. And that's what it's about. That's what it's always been about. And I think we've chosen to look back on it in a very irresponsible manner.
2 years ago, when I'm right, you talked about bringing the old rock and roll, the new millennium. So what is the difference between you and old rock and roll bands like the Stones?
I just think we have more. Nowadays, we have more technology to choose from that can liberate your sound and set you apart from the olden days. I mean, back then they didn't have all these tones and synthesizers and unique ways of recording I think it was harder back then, and I think it created a lot purer music. But I think a rock band nowadays, we have all these tools that right at the tip of our fingers, and to not use them is just stupid. So I think that the 21st century and the technology that we have nowadays just allows us to just explore differently than what would have allowed the Rolling Stones to do, in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s.
A lot of decades. Yeah. But writing songs, isn't it always the same?
Yeah.
Like you sitting down with a guitar on bed and...
Well, that's the trick, is that if it sounds good on acoustic to me, then it's a good song.
Is that really the way you're writing songs?
On an acoustic guitar, yeah. And I'm terrible at the piano, but I still write songs on the piano, like a few. But yeah, if it sounds good on an acoustic, then it's a good song. But then after that, I mean, you can put it, you can literally take it. There is an infinite number of avenues that you can run a song through in order to present it. And you can ruin the song at that point by presenting it in the wrong way. But that's not to say that all these little tastes and flares and colors and textures that we have nowadays, it can make for a very interesting modern sounding rock and roll album, and we try to do that, but we still try to keep the grain of real instrumentation, and we try to talk about real things. And another way to separate yourself is, the Rolling Stones, maybe they're a bad example because they were actually wrote quite historically, which was interesting. But the Rolling Stones were for the most part inspired by and writing about things that were happening while they were playing music back in the day. So if you're a band in 2019, you should be writing about events, things, what life is like for a person to be walking around in 2019. I think at least I should be doing that in order to, to make it more relevant within the times. And I mean, I don't know what it was like to be the Rolling Stones or Led Zeppelin or Queen or anybody. So I can't really write from that place. So I mean that's.
I think one other thing is quite personal.
Yeah.
Looking at the lyrics, and is it really your life you're displaying there, or your experiences?
Well, they're my feelings. I wouldn't say that the narrative is event for event my life. But I mean, I tried to capture a feeling of what it was like to be living in the 21st century, surrounded by, technology, feeling overwhelmed and overstimulated. And I tried to, for me, I don't have the answers, but sometimes, and the whole album's kind of, I guess, was written this way. Sometimes I just want to leave. Like, I don't know, it's always been kind of a reoccurring feeling of mine to not be in the place that I am. And it's
There's a song about it.
Yeah. And it's not a healthy thing, but I have a very hard time living in the present moment in my life, and I think a lot of that is the influences that come from technology and whatnot. But a dream of mine, an overwhelming urge to just kind of leave, get away. And I mean, as unrealistic as that is, it sure seems nice sometimes.
To come to the first song, Panic Attack, is it a personal experience of you? Yeah.
Well, like, the song is written so that, people from all walks of life can take part in it and understand it. But yeah, I've been dealing with panic attacks since first year university.
And you're finding really nice words. There's a line, raining light.
Yeah.
It's somewhat magical. Well, the clouds are breaking up and light is raining down.
Well, thank you. You're the first person to say that. It makes me very happy, yeah.
It's just an example. You're finding so many nice lines. Where did it come from?
Just, I don't know, just writing constantly and experiencing things and always trying to keep track of what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing and what other people are doing and what I'm doing. And I mean, I never stop, so I mean, I try to get as much information as I can from the world around me, and I use it for inspiration. It's my favorite thing to do, so it's pretty easy, really.
It's like images, not just words.
Yeah.
They are creating images in my mind and in my heart, so yeah.
Good.
You're doing it really fine. To come back to songwriting, you're sitting down with acoustic guitar, real old-fashioned, and then go to the band saying, "Here, I have a riff or I have a text." What comes first, riff or text?
They actually come at the same time a lot of times. There's really no there's no equation. I mean, I might write a riff and daydream about what the lyrics or melody sounds like over it for a year before it ever becomes anything. Or I might sit down in 15 minutes, have, an entire song written and don't have any chords. Sometimes I got all the chords and all the words. But it always goes through this process of me kind of personally sitting with the guitar, sitting with the piano alone, and I'm trying to work out specific kinks so that I know that it's good, that I like it. And then you take it to the band, and a lot of times we'll just sit with the producer, and people just, for whatever reason, know how to play with each other in this band, and We just layer on top one another. I mean, a guitar part might come next, or maybe a groove, but it always kind of gets worked out as we go in the studio. And I mean, I always think that if the guts are there on the acoustic, then you can work the performance into magic. Like you can if
You have the basis.
yes,
Bass and
then you
can
can
grow.
then you can grow. Yes.
Okay, I read an interview with you, and I hope I put it right. You said Warren Everything is your best record from now, but not your best record you ever will write, because you will evolve as an artist and songwriter.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the best one yet for us. And I mean, I've written an album's worth in the last month, so we'll see what happens. I think you're always going to strive to write the next masterpiece and try to figure out where you are and where you're going, and I think that's healthy. I don't think you ever achieve any kind of like real feeling of fulfillment. But I think that as long as you're working during those moments when you're actually working and being productive and working towards something, you forget it, but that's when you're really the most fulfilled. It's not when the album's done, because the album comes out and it's over. And, you know, the songs, after that, they live and breathe on their own and you have no choice. But when you're working on the songs, for me, it's like, I don't know, it's like you're taking something from your brain, nobody else's, and brain and heart, of course, and you're taking something out of thin air and throwing it out to everybody, and you're just making sure that all the pieces are wrapped up in a little bow and it's ready to be heard. I mean, it's like making music and writing music is the reason why you do it. And then I think for me, the performing comes next, and then after that, I don't really care about anything.
Haben wir noch Zeit? Do we have time? Okay. Is there a difference between writing and recording the songs and then playing them live?
Yeah.
Will they get another meaning for you? Perhaps after you play them 100 of times?
Yeah. I like, on this album, there's a song called Spirit to Break. And I was the only one that liked it of the whole band. But I kept on telling everybody, like, trust me, this is a great song. And everybody was like, nah, this song sucks. But since we started playing it live, everybody loves it. And different songs require different
Surrounding?
Well, different songs require different and more or less attention. So, like, for example, a song like Panic Attack, to make it sound good live, you just gotta play it hard. Like, it's a tough song, you know. But a song like Lean on Me, to me, that song, you know, it can live and breathe in that area on the record, but to give it a little more magic live, you need to kind of, you know, take people through maybe a little different of an experience on stage than you would on an album, because, you know, I'm singing quite low in it, and it's quite, you know, a quiet song in some parts, and the dynamics don't always work out the same way live as they do on a recording. So you have to take different paths and keep people interested in different ways. But, you know, some songs we might not even play. I don't know. Like, it's like, who cares? We're going to have 50 more songs, you know, maybe, hopefully 1,000 actually. But like, you know, the live show and the album is a different thing. The live show is a performance, and it should be done the best way possible, and that shouldn't be compromised by feelings of living up to an album. And it's the same thing for an album. An album shouldn't be compromised for feelings of living up to a live show. They should exist and help each other and live separately at the same time. And I don't think that they should be stepping on one another's toes.
Okay, but enough of the Glorious Sons. You played me a song before the interview, so let's talk about another Canadian bands. Perhaps you could, like from me, recommend our viewers your favorite band from Canada.
Right now it's the Dirty Nil. I live with them, so I'm a little biased.
Literally.
Yeah, but I think they're my favorite rock band in Canada, along with and not any worse or better, completely equal to the Beaches. They're from Canada as well, and I think they're the two best rock bands in Canada. They're my favorite bands, at least.
Is there something in Canadian water or beer that are so many good rock bands?
I don't have a clue. I don't know why. I think we get a lot of support from our government, which helps. Like, we have certain radio stations are required to play a certain amount of Canadian content. We have certain government-funded programs that help, like, starving artists, that can help them make albums and make art and live, as free as possible and not, die of starvation. Other than that, I don't have the answers. I don't know.
And you all do know each other, I think.
You meet a lot of people, yeah, because there's different Canadian award shows, and there's not very many cities, so everybody tours in the same cities, and tours are always kind of crossing through one another, and it's a small country. There's 36 million people. I don't know, not very many people in Canada. So, music scene, it seems that everybody kind of crosses paths eventually.
Yeah, and hopefully all come to Germany. And I think now we are running out of time. So let's get back to the Glorious Sons. What will happen next? Now you're doing a support tour. Will there be a headliner tour over Europe?
Well, I'm sure we will be back, but I don't know when. We've got 70 days on the road in Canada and America coming up, starting mid-January. We're going to go make some music for some fun pretty soon. After that, we'll probably be in festival season. I'm sure we'll probably be back around here. Again, I don't know, but and then after, I think the plan is next September to take like a 4-month break, because we've been hitting the road pretty hard, and we're pretty tired. Yeah.
It's not all about party. It's really hard work.
Yeah. It's hard. It's you have to have fun. So some of it, I think, for us is about party. We like to have fun on the road. But no, it is hard work. It's hard to travel constantly. It's hard to be away from your loved ones, and it's hard not to wake up in the same place ever.
Okay, it's an end. Perhaps not the best end, but we're at the end. So, and the show will start soon, I think, and looking forward to it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thanks.
And metalheads out there, go check them out. The Glorious Sons won everything.